We stand firm, calling to Allah all the time. We let them know, bang, bang, cause it's Dawah time.
You got a second for me now?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
What are you doing?
Okay, basically, we're just trying to raise awareness about a woman who got murdered last week.
Yeah, sure. I know.
Did you hear about it?
In Colchester.
In Colchester, right. Can I ask you what you heard about her?
What I've heard about her, I work in the media as a journalist, so all I know is that she was a 30-year-old Saudi Arabian woman,
Right.
wearing full abaya, hijab, everything
Okay,
like that.
fantastic. So, you know, the reason why I had talking to people is because the media has been obviously reporting this issue very, very, very subtly. And they haven't actually mentioned some of the things that the police said.
It was front page news.
When was it front page news?
I work here. It was on the front page of the Metro.
Oh, the Metro has been the only one.
Right.
The Metro has been the only one who reported it as front page news. And you don't work for the Daily Mail, do you?
Do I look like I work for the Daily Mail?
Okay, no. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. Maybe with a Muppet mask or something like that after reading these newspapers. But our problem is this, right? And we just want to raise awareness amongst journalists, because you guys are basically, you know, the guys who are pushing forth the engine of the media. So this guy right here is from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And he's a guy who's about 3,000 miles away from the UK. He don't even speak English, yeah? Now, he made front page news. Why? Because of his views with regards to Syria.
Right.
Now, my issue is this, is that we live in the UK and we should be more concerned with what happens in the UK. In the UK, we have a woman, but the police said she was killed. This is one thing that newspapers haven't mentioned very much. The police specifically said that the likely reason for which she was killed was because of the Islamic dress that she was wearing. Do you see what I'm saying? And that should have made front page news. British news, woman murdered in Britain as a result of what is most likely British extremism.
Sure.
And we just want to know what your opinion as a journalist is about that. Do you not think that that should be front page news?
Well, the news changes every day. I mean, unfortunately, a woman has been murdered. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Regardless of religion, colour, creed, caste,
Absolutely.
whatever you call it.
Absolutely.
I mean, as I previously mentioned, as I do recall, it did make front page news, maybe just by one paper, but at least it did.
But sir, do you know what my problem is? My problem is this: that when Lee Rigby was killed, for about 2-3 weeks, that's all we heard about front page news.
Sure.
2 weeks before Lee Rigby was killed, an old man who was walking to the mosque in Birmingham,
Yes, I heard
he was
that,
killed.
yeah.
You know, as a journalist, it's your job to know. Do you see what I'm saying? But my issue is that as a journalist, can you help other people know as well? Because you know what it is, right? It looks to the English public. Yeah, I experience it. Because you know, we get victimized. People are prejudiced to us. People make remarks when we walk down the street. People actually think that there's a reason to be scared of Muslims. But on the flip side, they don't know that my sister, she don't catch the train at certain times because people behave and intimidate her in a certain way. Now, when she hears the fact that a woman's been murdered because she's probably wearing a headscarf, that should be front page news. Do you see what I'm saying? That should be front page news.
Sure.
So, don't you agree that in light of the circumstances, in light of, you know, the xenophobic culture that the media's put forth, that this should be...
It's
Sorry to put you on a spot like this.
No, it's fine. I mean, you know, look, I'm a Muslim myself, of course, and I work in the
Assalamu alaikum, by the way.
Walaikum salam. No, of course, you know, I understand these things. The thing that obviously you've got to take into account that it's proportion. It's proportionate to the amount of Muslims they are compared to non-Muslims in this country. So, yeah, unfortunately, one person's died. It's just not the way our media works. If I could change it, I would. It's just proportionate. The majority of the public don't care. You know, is this being filmed?
It's been filmed, yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube, don't worry.
Even still, you know, I'm still a journalist. There's certain things I won't say on camera. Just
okay. Well, you know, you can filter it out and say whatever you want to say.
Well, it's just the way it is. I mean, the majority of the British public, do they really care if one Muslim dies?
Yeah.
I think 10 Muslims have to die.
Yeah.
So it has to be 10. It has to be 10
Muslims
and 10 black to one white person.
So that's how the media thinks.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said. It would seem that way, but there is.
Because you see, I have a different perspective on the issue. My perspective is that the British public will care about what the British public are told to care about. If you constantly keep putting pictures of guys like this and telling people to be scared of people who don't even speak your language, right?
I mean, you can't underestimate the intelligence. You know,
intelligence. This is not MI5. This is Daily Mail.
No, but you know, the British public have something to read. They have many news sources. You've got you're on YouTube. You've got access to the internet. The public aren't told what to think. They're just reading an opinion. No, just like your or my opinion, they're reading an opinion. They're not told that this is how you should think. This is just simply an opinion, a sensationalised opinion that the media do to sell papers. That's all it is. They're not being told to think that way. If someone does not have the capability to think for themselves and read outside the box and, you know, source information from it, that's their own problem.
Respectfully, sir, I have to strongly disagree, because that's basically like saying that Hitler's what was this guy, Goebbels, or Himmler? It was Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels, who was his head of propaganda. That he shouldn't take any responsibility for the fact that the way that he, put propaganda out there, Jews were killed and murdered and slaughtered.
But that's a completely different issue, though.
No, it's not. It's the exact same issue, because if you look at the trend, I mean, I study history as well, right? Personally, not academically. It doesn't take, a genius to work out the trends of what's happening, what happened before, and what's happening now.
No, but then it doesn't take a genius to not just read one source of information and accept it as absolute
but so when you open up a newspaper, all you see is the exact same thing. Like about these boys from Cardiff who have gone over to fight in Syria. That's all you've been hearing for about 2-3 days. Articles come. I mean, the story's done. It's dead now, right? But they keep pushing it. It's like they're milking it. And even this story has, when the story continues on page 5, it's linked to the exact same thing.
I mean, we're talking about the lady that was stabbed. This is where we started from. I mean, I read it in the paper today. It was mentioned.
Which again, did you see it on the front page though? That's my issue.
No, but I mean, does it? I mean,
it is, sir. Someone died.
Yeah, no, of course it is. But
as a result of potential racism.
Yeah, but also if you,
bro, you're a Muslim.
Yeah, but religion aside, what they're saying.
No, religion matters because of someone's religion they've been targeted. Because of someone's religion.
But that's not.
And because of someone. But the police are the experts here, sir. The police said that we have good reason to believe.
Yeah, they have a reason to believe purely because she's wearing that.
So
but also, in March, a white gentleman in that area was stabbed 102 times.
Yes, I appreciate that.
So
I appreciate that, but that was on the news. No problem, no questions asked.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It was on the news. I've seen the articles. I've looked it up.
But then you're selectively watching the news.
I'm not selective. No,
because I'm telling you that it
sir,
has. And I read it this morning on the way into work.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Be genuine with me. Be genuine with me. Yeah. Do you believe that all people are equal?
Do I believe that all people are equal? I believe all people should be equal. Do I believe I believe all people.
Forget how they're treated. I'm asking you: Are all people equal? Is the sanctity of life the same amongst all human beings?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It is.
So when Lee Rigby is killed, people talk about him for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Talk about him for 6 months. It won't do justice to the criminal act that was committed, right? Because that is the sanctity of life. Human being is priceless. Do you see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that a woman who was murdered, stabbed 16 times, that was more gruesome than what happened to Lee Rigby. The British public should know that. And the media decide what the British public will read. Yes, the media don't tell the British public read this or don't read this, but they decide what you will read. So if the only option is xenophobic culture that's being sensationalized inside the newspapers, then what else are the British public going to read? Lay people, they don't have the time to go into it and do their own research. They rely upon the media as a trustworthy, objective source that will give them information concerning their daily lives.
I mean, it's.
But remember, you're gonna.
I think that if you are intelligent enough to understand that the media is not always essentially fact, it's essentially varied opinions.
Yes.
It's up to you to source where you receive that information from, because there are many media outlets that will tell the news fairly and justly. Like I explained to you, it was front page of the Metro. As we're talking about, is everyone equal? No, of course, but we don't live in an equal society. I mean, it's almost a redundant question. Everyone is equal, not everyone's treated equally. I mean, that pretty much answers that. But that, it's.
But so what I'm saying is, like, I'm just a bit confused. I don't want to say anything that you're not saying. I just want to clarify. Are you saying that the media shouldn't take responsibility for what they push out? And and the second question is, are you saying that
But the media is a money-making business.
Yes.
Yeah. Essentially, if it gets viewers, if it sells papers, that's the concern.
But is that wrong? I'm asking you, is that wrong? I'm talking ethically. I'm asking you morally, as a human being that one day will stand before his master who created him. Is that okay? bearing in mind that we've seen what the media has done in the past. The media is the result of what happened to the Jews in Germany. The media is what happened to the serfs and at the time of Stalin. Sorry, not the serfs, but...
I think it's a pretty extreme line of questioning you're taking this down.
I don't think so at all, because...
I think it is, because you understand, you know, whether it's ethically right or morally right.
Ethically...
It's not.
What I'm saying is more... Because, look, when you say to me that British people don't really care if a Muslim dies... They won't really concern them.
Not all.
Yeah, no, of course not. I know, because you know how I know not all? Because when I actually go and speak to the British public, they are absolutely disgusted at the things that happen. They just don't know. They just don't know. And the reason they don't know is because the media don't tell them. I understand it's a money-making business, and I understand that's why all this crap is here.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you is that right? You can make money by testing on human beings, but ethically that's wrong. You can make a whole load of money testing on human beings.
Sure.
But, you know, I mean, morally, the newspapers, you know, we as Muslims, you eat halal meat, right?
Yeah.
Right? The newspapers didn't have a problem talking about how ethically, morally, it was wrong. And by the way, our slaughter is quite humane compared to how they do it in the slaughterhouses. But the point is that we make money through slaughtering our meat in a certain way, so on and so forth. But that's a problem. I'm asking you as someone who works for the media, are you really telling me that the media shouldn't be responsible for what they put out? Are you really telling me that that this is how we should think?
No, but the media didn't create the problem.
No, they do create the problem, sir.
The media didn't go and stab this woman. They
No,
just reported
but the media, sir, Muslim women have been walking around in hijab and niqab for the last 40 years in this country, right? This is the first time a Muslim woman has been brutally murdered in the way that she has. Now, you know, if we approach this scientifically, right? Let's empirically look at the evidences and let's observe the facts. The facts is that Muslim women have been living here for so on and so forth. In the last 2-3 years, in fact, last 13-14 years, we've seen just a huge amount of propaganda against Islam in the media, and it's starting to climax now to the point where people's lives are starting to be taken. So how can you say that it's not connected?
No, but we don't know that.
It is no. But so think logically.
Because there's why logically? Because a man.
Well, we should think illogically. Should we think illogically?
There was a white man.
Should we think illogically?
Listen, there was a white man in the same area
Yeah.
who was stabbed
Yeah.
more times than this Muslim.
And that was publicised.
Yeah, it was.
But that was publicised. But the Muslim woman wasn't.
No, it was.
No, not as much as the guy was. We're talking Lee Rigby. I'm talking about Lee Rigby. Okay. Muhammad Salim was killed, sir. Muhammad Salim was killed in Birmingham. Did that make front page news? The guy I told you, the old man who was walking to the mosque, he was going to pray, was murdered.
Well, I actually live in the Midlands, and you know it was heavily covered in the Midlands.
It was well.
No, it was.
Well, I live in London. I live in London,
I live in the Midlands.
and it wasn't heavily covered.
Well, why would it?
And there were national newspapers. What do you mean, sir? Sir, Lee Rigby was from London, but was it covered in the Midlands?
Yeah.
Why would it be? He's from London.
Yeah.
It was covered in America.
You know, off the top of my head.
So is this? Can I ask you something? Is it?
No, it was. It was covered on Crime Watch. It was.
So, like.
It was. No, it was.
Okay.
It was nationally covered on Crime Watch.
Okay.
That murder.
Yeah.
And Crime Watch,
Yeah.
BBC Crime Watch, put an appeal out.
Yeah.
So you can't say that it wasn't
Right,
because
sir.
Lee Rigby.
I'm not. No. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
No,
I'm not saying that the media doesn't mention the topic.
No, but they
I'm
covered it.
I'm not saying they don't cover it. What I'm saying is, do they publicize it front page news? That's my question. Because this is what counts. So this is what counts. So front page news is what counts.
Wasn't there a BBC appeal on Crime Watch for the murder in Birmingham that actually went out?
Human beings are equal. How did they publicise Lee Rigby?
No, but now you're
How did they publicise Lee
You're
Rigby?
sidestepping.
How? No, I'm not.
No, because I've proved
You
something.
proved it. No. I always said it was
I've
covered.
mentioned something. No. You're asking me if it was nationally covered. It was. It was covered on Crime. It took me a while to think, but yes, it was. It was covered on Crime Watch.
But that's
Nationally,
okay.
BBC
Okay.
One,
But my question is to you, and I do think you understand because you're an intelligent person. But my question this whole time has been, is it covered the same way they cover other things? Lee Rigby, for example.
But no story is. No story is covered.
But is that fair?
Say I don't know
How can you say that?
because I can't.
So if that was your sister who got killed, you wouldn't be talking like this.
But it wasn't my sister.
But it could be though.
Yeah, no, of course
It could be. Do you know what's happening in Sri Lanka right now?
In Sri Lanka.
Yeah. You guys should know this stuff. It's quite important. Muslims are being killed and slaughtered for no reason. I put this up on my Facebook, right? I put the status up on my Facebook explaining that please Muslims pray for the Muslims that are in Sri Lanka suffering. And one sister who's from Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka, she put a really interesting comment. She said just a few days ago, we were raising money for Syrians that were suffering.
Yeah.
She goes, we could never have imagined, we could never have fathomed that a few days from now, people were going to have to start fundraising for us because today we are suffering. The moral of the story is that you never think it's going to happen to you until it happens to you.
Sure.
It's very insensitive if you say, well, it wasn't my sister.
Yeah.
But God forbid if that happens to your sister.
Yeah, no. I get what you're saying, but yeah, but what can what can you do? No two stories are ever covered the same, unfortunately.
Look,
I know what
are you going to explain? Are you going to
you're
explain this?
coming at it-
Is this how you're going to explain this to Allah on the Day of Judgment?
No, but why have you got to bring religion to it? Why have you got to bring religion to
Are
it?
you a Muslim?
Yeah, but what's that got to do with it?
Well, I'm a Muslim.
Exactly.
Because
What's
actually
our religion got to do with certain people going
Yeah,
out there and killing?
yeah, hold up.
Tell me
Yeah,
that's
hold
my
up.
point.
So. Okay, then why is it
that's
here? Then why is it here? Why is my religion constantly mentioned here then? If it's got nothing to do with religion, why is religion constantly mentioned here?
What,
So let's be honest, and it is to do with religion. So let's go back to the.
what's that story to do with?
So this story is to do with.
That's to do with Muslims killing Muslims.
No, it's got to do with apparently this guy who doesn't even speak the English language. Just because he went to a mosque in Cardiff,
Yeah.
he apparently radicalized some of the young guys who went over to Syria and fight.
Yeah.
Why? This is Syrian news then. This is Saudi Arabian news.
Because this sells. This
Yeah,
sells.
but this is what
He's admitted that.
This is what I
But
said.
I'm asking you, is it right?
Is it right though?
Well, is it for me to say? I don't
It is. You're a human being. You have morals. You're an ethical, moral human being.
Where are you from?
You-
Where are you from?
Sorry.
Where are you from? Originally.
Again, does that matter?
No, just generally.
Why?
No, generally.
See, this is what I find.
I want to see if I can speak to you in my language.
No, you won't be able to. You're not from where I'm from.
Was it Bangladesh?
No.
Where are you from?
From Mauritius.
Mauritius.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a beautiful country, man.
Thank you. But what I'm saying, my point is I speak to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and it tends to be Muslims make it an issue about Islam.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and believe me, as a Muslim, I empathise with you. You know, I don't like to see the way Islam is portrayed in the media. One of the reasons why I work in the media is so that I can evoke a change in it.
Yeah.
But
That's a very noble cause.
certain stories, certain way that you just have to accept that we are not in a country. We're in a country where we're a minority,
Yes.
where our
Yes.
our interests
Yes.
and things that affect us do not interest or bother the wider public that we live with. Is it fair? No.
No, but they do, because apparently our interest is that we want to kill people in Britain and we want to establish Sharia law in Britain. Apparently that's but the media.
That's an opinion.
No.
That's-
But it depends on how
why-
it depends on how you pave that opinion.
But
So
why-
let me make my
why-
point.
why-
So let me make my point.
why don't you
It
take
depends,
another paper
sir.
that doesn't? Why don't you take another paper and show me one that doesn't? Like take the Independent, take the Metro that doesn't.
I'll-
show
I'll-
this,
but
you know.
the-
It's one of the most popular ones.
But that's because you're picking it up. You don't have
No, because the British people picked this newspaper up, sir.
No.
So the British people picked this newspaper
If you
up.
want the most popular, pick up the Sun. See if the Sun cover it.
No, I don't want to see that naked woman. But
The
the point
Sun is the most
sir.
popular one.
Okay, fine. He's a criminal.
You've
Okay.
You've deliberately picked up
Sir.
a very right-wing newspaper, and
Yeah.
you've looked for that
And-
angle. But why don't you pick up? Why don't you pick up?
You work for
Why
the
don't you
right wing
pick up-
newspaper.
No, I don't. No,
You don't work for Daily Mail.
No.
I thought you said at the beginning you do.
No, I didn't.
Okay, regardless, the point is, I'm asking you to comment on the right wing newspaper. Are you right wing?
No.
So you disagree with this?
Did you preach groom the jihadi Britons? I don't know the facts.
Okay,
I don't know the facts.
okay,
of the
let
story,
me
so
ask
I
you.
I can neither agree or disagree.
No, I'm saying, do you agree with what I've been saying?
1 second.
Okay. I just want to end the conversation. I'll end it, you can have him, yeah? Okay, so his boss has called him over.
He's not coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's okay. Look, I don't want to create any problems for you, yeah? So all I will say is this, yeah? If you tell me that the only reason you're saying what you're saying is because you're speaking in a professional capacity and you don't want to basically hinder your job or cause any problems for yourself, fine, no worries, I'll walk away. But if this is what your like genuine belief is, then I feel like I have to speak to you for a little bit longer because I strongly disagree.
No, because you don't know what I think.
That's why I'm asking you. I just asked you.
Yeah, but you.
I said, are you speaking in the capacity of a professional right now?
You know I can't do that because I asked you if that was filming.
I told you it was filming.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to say something that.
Okay, that's fine.
This is the point. I
Yeah.
work in the media,
yeah.
so I'm not going to say anything. that's going to
I
incriminate me.
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. But then we didn't even have to have this conversation.
No, I came back to you.
I
because
appreciate that,
I came
yeah.
back to you and spoke to you.
I
out of the
respect
goodness of what
that.
You're doing,
I
yeah.
respect that. But what I'm saying is, I didn't want to make it difficult for you. Like, if you can't speak in that capacity, and really say what you really want to say, then we don't even have to have the conversation. I don't want to make things hard for you.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But what I'm saying is, if you genuinely believe this stuff, then like,
no,
that's quite dangerous.
No, but this, no, it's not because what I told you, I don't believe all the facts from one newspaper. My information doesn't come from one newspaper.
I'm not talking to you about the independent facts. I'm talking about how the media runs, how the newspapers work. I'll ask you a simple question.
Do you work in the media?
I work in the media.
What do you work in?
Social media.
Sorry,
social
media.
I have my own YouTube channel.
So I work for a corporation,
Yeah.
and I know on the inside how things work.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you can give us an insight?
well, I can do, but that's years of understanding how it works. You know,
It's easy. Whatever sells more, you do that. Do your best to make it seem like that. Because what it is, when Lee Rigby happened, BBC have Anjem Chowdhury on speed dial. They don't need to dial his number. They press Anjem Chowdhury and boom, they're connected.
Why not me? You see what we do, right? I have a following of 94,000 Muslim youth on social media, and he has a following of altogether about 30,000, right? I don't really think I'm a big guy, and there are people that are much better to address these issues than me. But if you want to know what young Muslims are really thinking, would it not make sense to come and speak to people who work with young Muslims on a daily basis?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm soon to be working with the young offenders in Felton prison, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they want help. They saw me as an individual that could possibly help them, dealing with Muslims that are inside these prisons. Like, yeah, sure, I'm here, right? Because I think I'm a bit more qualified talking these issues than Anjem Chowdhury. Like, why? Do you not see that as a problem?
I don't know why it's questioned as it to be a problem. I mean,
It is because he's one guy who doesn't even represent the views of even like 1% of Muslims.
you
But
don't-
then the
you
BBC.
don't- but you don't represent the view of most of the Muslims.
I actually do.
But you
I
don't know
do.
that.
No, I do. So I represent the view of at least 94,000 Muslims. They have confirmed that by liking my page on Facebook. Anjem Chowdhury, he don't even have like
a like on Facebook doesn't mean everything.
No. I know they don't agree, but what I'm saying is though, I have more of a following than Anjem Chowdhury. Why not talk to me? And it's specifically young Muslims. Why not talk to me?
Well, because you will say the wrong stuff that they want. Anjem Chowdhury says the right stuff.
Is it because I won't make money?
Some of the stuff Anjem
Is that
Chowdhury
it?
says. Some of the stuff Anjem Chowdhury says, if it's another political group, they'll disappear. MI5 will take them out. But Anjem Chowdhury, they like what he says because he makes Islam. The MI5 and Anjem Chowdhury have both something in common. They both think Islam is about terrorism. Yeah. That's it. They have that in common. Anjem Chowdhury said it's all about terrorism, killing. MI5 say the same thing. Yeah. That's why they have him on speed dial. He comes on the show. He does a great job.
I need to go back in. But essentially, what you're talking about, everyone goes. I think maybe if you're, and I say it respectfully, more wider read, it seems that you're looking at one angle.
No.
You're looking at one angle.
Many newspapers I read.
But which ones?
Independent, Evening Standard.
From the beginning of this conversation, you're telling me about this woman that was killed.
Yeah.
You're saying, was it publicised? Yes, it was.
I told you one newspaper, and he did it three. No, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And the people who the people who can make the difference though is people like yourself. That's what I'm saying. I understand it's not enough, and I'm actually really happy. I'm flattered. I'm really pleased. May Allah bless Metro for doing it one day. But people like yourself, people like her, all these people here who work for these establishments, they are the ones that can make the change. So I'm saying, like, look, when we read these articles by people like yourself, it seems like you really care about us. Like you're saying, you're really trying to educate us and be conscious of problems and evils and wrongs in our society. But when I come and speak to people here, they don't even want to look at me. They keep turning their face away. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm like, they're like, we can't comment. I'm like, you have no problem commenting on Islam in the newspaper, but when I want to comment on Islam, you have a problem. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to say, all I want you to take away from this,
you've come to a news organisation where people cannot speak for an organisation.
Yeah.
And because they will not speak, because they don't want to jeopardise what they're saying, because they can't talk for a company,
right.
It will then look to you. I know how the media works. You'll go, look, people don't want to talk to us. People don't want to talk to us. But you're asking people in a place of work, in a professional capacity, where they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the views that you want to hear or the views that people.
No, but I demand that they talk to me because there's a one-way voice, Serge. I respect that. Sincerely, you're the only individual. You are the only individual who's actually had a proper discussion with that. I really respect that and appreciate that.
Okay, cool. But I need to. That's my boss.
It's your boss, yeah?
Cool.
Look, man, it was a pleasure. May Allah bless you, yeah?
What are you doing?
Okay, take it easy. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.